Hello, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm gonna talk about all the books I've read in June and the ones I plan to read in July. The first book I read was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And in this book we follow Linus Baker, who lives a quiet and solitary life, and he works for Dicome, which is the department in charge of magical youth, which means he basically oversees the well-being of magical children who live in orphanages. And one day he's summoned by extremely upper management and he's given a secret assignment. And basically he goes to an orphanage and he has to do what he does, make sure the children are being taken care of. But as he's reading the files on the children on the way there, he soon realized that those children are not ordinary children, if magical children could ever be considered ordinary. And the book is basically about his stay there and him getting to know the children and also the adults. And it was adorable. Like, it was the cutest thing I've ever read and I loved every second of it. And I gave it 5 stars. The second book I read was The Vanishing Stair, which is book 2 of the Truly Devious series. And basically, like, the main mystery, like the mystery from the past, continues on into this book. And we also have the aftermath of what happens at the end of book 1. And I love these books, like I love this series. And that's probably because I love 2 of the characters. Like, I love Stevie because she likes mystery and crime and all the things that I like too. And like, Nate is very relatable to me because like he's very antisocial and he tolerates 2 or 3 people, and that's literally me. And also, like, he's a writer and he would rather do anything other than write what he has to write. And again, that's very relatable. And yeah, like, I read the entire book in one day because I just get sucked into these books and I loved it, and I also gave it 5 stars. So the next 3 books I'm going to talk about, I actually have a reading blog for them that I will link down below. And the first one was The Lost Ones by Sheena Kamal. So this book was a thriller and we follow Nora, and she gets a call from a man saying that his daughter has gone missing. And his daughter was the baby that Nora gave away 15 years ago. And basically, the adoptive parents of the girl, who's called Bonnie, want Nora's help to find her. And at first, Nora tries to stay away from it, but she just can't stop thinking about Bonnie, and so she gets sucked into the investigation of what happened to Bonnie. And as she digs deeper into what happened, she starts being haunted by the past that she tried to leave behind. I really enjoyed this book, and when I first went into it, I didn't even know it was a series, but now that I know that this is the first book in a series, I am definitely planning to continue on with the series because I really liked following Nora. And as I've said, like in previous videos where I talked about this book, she wasn't a great person, but as a character, she was very interesting to follow. And also the book was, like, it was definitely a thriller. Like, I felt a lot of tension whenever Nora was in danger. Also, Nora had a dog and she didn't choose the dog chose her, and she decided to be a better person for the dog because if the dog chose her, then she had to be a better person for the dog, and I just thought that was adorable. And I really liked that book and I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book I read, and the second book of that reading vlog, is Summit Lake by Charlie Donnelly, and this is a mystery thriller. This book takes place in Summit Lake, which is the title of it, and Summit Lake seems to be a very quiet, peaceful place until Becca Eckersley, who is a law student and also the daughter of a powerful attorney, is brutally murdered there. And throughout this book we follow 2 perspectives. We follow Becca in the past, in the year or so leading up to her murder, and at the same time we follow Kelsey Castle, who is a reporter who is investigating what happened to Becca. And as Kelsey starts investigating, it is clear that things are being covered up, and that only makes her want to dig deeper. I definitely preferred the point of view of Becca. I just thought it was a lot more interesting seeing how things happened in their life than the things Kelsey was investigating. And also there are a few things I didn't love in Kelsey's part of the story, I guess. And I talk about that in the reading vlog. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I have to say that it wasn't as thrilling as the previous book, but I still really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. The last book I read for that reading vlog was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, and this is a literary fiction book. The book opens up with the Richardsons' family house being burnt, and they all think that the one responsible for that is Izzy, who is the youngest child. And there are 4 children in that family who are Lexi, Trip, Moody, and Izzy. And Izzy is basically like the troublemaker of the family. And after that opening chapter with the house burning, we get a flashback to around the year before, when Mia Warren and her daughter Pearl got to Shaker Heights, which is the town where the Richardsons live. And Pearl quickly befriends the 3 oldest Richardson children, while Izzy, the youngest, befriends Mia. So basically, Pearl spends a lot of time at the Richardsons' house, and Izzy spends a lot of time with Mia Warren. And it's clear that Mia is hiding something, and also running from her past. And all the children quickly realize that. And as we find out what Mia's secret is, someone else also finds out. And that leads to a lot of problems and to a sad ending, I would say, for some of the characters. But at the same time, since the ending was sort of open, you could interpret it in a more hopeful way, like I'm choosing to do. Like I choose to think that characters who were separated will find each other and they will be happy. And I love this book. I loved the characters. I loved how real they felt. I love how the relationships developed, and I just love everything. And obviously also love the plot. That was another plot line that wasn't like directly connected to the Richardsons or the Warrens, but they were involved in it. And like the whole book was just so good. I really loved it, and I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read was The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris. And I didn't know a lot about this book, I just knew that it was categorized as a thriller. But basically we follow Nella, who is an editorial assistant at Wagner Books, and she is thrilled when Hazel starts working there, because Nella will no longer be the only black employee at Wagner Books. And Hazel quickly becomes very loved by everyone, and at first she seems to be very nice to Nella, but things start getting weird. And also, Nella starts getting some threatening notes telling her that she has to leave Wagner. And as that was happening, I was very invested in the story. Like, the atmosphere was very creepy, you know, like you felt the danger for Nella, and so like I was very invested into the story. But then it kind of fell apart for me. And also there were some extra POVs added to the story, and like I get why they were there, but for me they were a bit confusing. So I was always like very confused about those other POVs, because honestly, I never knew who anyone was until the ending. And also, like, after, like, maybe the first half of the book, when I said that it, like, fell apart for me, it started getting slow and confusing. I don't know, maybe I was just not getting it. But, yeah, it started being a little confused and slow. And the last few pages were just crazy, and everything happened. And, yeah, I mean, the ending was thrilling for sure, but the rest of the book didn't really feel thrilling for me. And I mean, maybe that was not the point of the book, but since I had seen it categorized as a thriller, I was expecting a thriller. So yeah, I mean, I really loved the beginning, but I didn't love the rest, so I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Loveless by Alice Oseman, and this is a young adult contemporary, which I don't read a lot of. Basically, we follow Georgia, who has just finished high school, and she realizes that she's never properly liked anyone or even had a crush on anyone. So when she goes to college with her 2 best friends, she's determined to find romance. But as the year starts, she realizes that romance isn't any easier in college than it was in high school. When she forcefully tries to get into a romance, she starts causing trouble in her friendships, so she just takes a step back and tries to figure out what is actually happening. And I loved this book. Like, it was very sad at times, but in the ending it was just really cute and made me really happy, and it was adorable. And yeah, I loved it. It was a beautiful story about Georgia finding out who she is, and I gave it 5 stars. So, the next book I read was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And this is an historical romance which I never, ever read. Like, I don't read romance, but I definitely do not read historical romance. But everyone seemed to love that book. And also, everyone seemed to cry with that book. And I never cry, so I took that as a challenge. So basically, you follow Patroclus, who is the main character of this book, and he is exiled to the court of King Peleus and his son Achilles, who is also the son of the sea goddess Thetis. Achilles and Patroclus become friends, and as they grow up, their friendship develops into a romance. And then, when they're both older, they get sent to the Trojan War. And yeah, this book is about their romance and also about what happened during the war. And I did like this book, but I didn't love it as much as everyone else seems to love it. And I definitely did not cry, although like the ending was sad, I'm not gonna lie, it was sad, but I did not cry, nor was I even close to crying. And I think that's probably just because I wasn't very invested in the romance. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like both characters and I like them together. I'm just not a romance person, you know? And I feel like I ship characters more if it's not a romance book. You know, if there are other things happening and the romance is just there, I'm more likely to be invested in that romance than in a book that is just romance. And I know that makes no sense at all whatsoever, but that's how I work. Everyone seems to love this book, and romance is really not my thing, so this was probably my problem, not the book's problem, but I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was God Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert, and this is the fourth book in the Dune series. And this book is set more than 3,000 years after the third book. And going into it, I was definitely worried because I've read some reviews saying that the books get worse as the series progresses. And like, I've had that experience with the three other books. Like, I loved the first, I really enjoyed the second. And the third, like, I also enjoyed, but not as much. So yeah, I was definitely worried going into this book. But as I started reading, I was having a lot of fun getting to know the new characters and also discovering how the planet has changed, because 3,000 years, like, it had changed a lot. And at first I didn't really like Leto Atreides, who is the main character. I did not like him at all. I was enjoying getting to know all the other characters, but I just didn't like him. But as I got deeper into the story and started understanding what he was doing, I definitely liked him more, and I did really like the book. Like, I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was worse than the last one. I actually thought it was better, and I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Alright, so next, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish reading this book because today is the 29th, so I only have until tomorrow, and I have almost 300 pages to go. But I am reading The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, which is the second book in the Wheel of Time series. And I mean, I am filming a reading vlog for this, which will come out next week. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it this month, but if I do, I'll just insert a clip here talking about it. And if I don't, it will be in July's wrap-up. And speaking of July, let's go into my July TBR. So, during the first week of July, there's going to be a readathon called Summerween, which is hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte. And that's basically to read horror or like creepy, scary books during summer. And that sounds perfect. So yeah, I have some books for that. There are 4 reading prompts for that readathon and 1 non-reading related, so I'm gonna try to read 4 books. And the 4 books I want to read are Kill Creek by Scott Thomas, The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval, The Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones, and Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. So I bought this book because Gabby from Gabby Reads loved it, and since this is her readathon, I just thought it was very appropriate. And the premise of this book is that a group of horror writers are going into a haunted house to spend Halloween, and they basically awaken something that is going to torment them. And I don't know much more about it, and I don't want to know much more about it. I'm just very excited because that sounds creepy, and I want creepy. The Ballad of Black Tom I don't really know much about it. I just know that Kat from Paperback Dreams enjoyed it. And basically, what I read is that a guy called Charles delivers an occult tome to a reclusive witch or sorceress, and basically opens a door to a deeper realm of magic, whatever that means. But yeah, it's horror, it has magic and sorceress, and yeah, that sounds exciting. So, The Night of the Mannequins. Again, I really don't know anything about it. I just know that a teen prank goes wrong, and we don't know if there's something supernatural happening or if there's just a psychopath on the loose, or maybe both. Finally, Cloud in a Cornfield. Again, don't know much about it, but basically, Queen and her dad moved to Kettle Springs, which seems to be a quiet town, and it has been divided into two sides, basically the adults and the kids. And then Frendo, a creepy clown, starts murdering people because he decides that the only way to fix the town is by getting rid of the rotten kids. So yeah, again, creepy, scary, I'm into it. The next book I want to read is The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey, which is a science fiction thriller. Martine is a clone made from Evelyn Caldwell's research, and she's also having an affair with Evelyn's husband. And then the cheating husband dies, and now both wives have to clean up the mess. And that's all I know about the book, and it's enough to sound exciting for me. And the last book on my plans is Pet Cemetery by Stephen King, which I want to do a separate reading vlog for. Basically, the Creed family moves to rural Maine, and they find a cemetery in the woods where kids bury their dead pets. And after that, strange things start happening, and I know that this is a lot of people's favorite Stephen King book, so I am very excited to read it, and since this is gonna be a month with a lot of horror, I'm even more excited to read it. And yeah, this is everything for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!